Good morning, Messy Sisterhood. This is Thursday, and you almost made it to Friday. Welcome to Thursday Thoughts with the Messy Sisterhood. So it's St. Patrick's Day, and I have on all of the green that I could muster today. I wore a lot of my green yesterday because I was teaching, and my preschoolers really had a blast with that. And I think my older students did as well, actually. But so happy St. Patrick's Day to those who are holding the holiday. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about St. Patrick's Day today. I kind of thought I was going to, and then the Lord this morning kind of really pushed me about this thing. You'll notice in my description today it says endurance. I don't like it. You know, my oldest, I've shared with you, is graduating, and so many new things are coming his way this year and doing and all those kinds of things. And the mom in me is struck often with waves of nostalgia, remembering all the stages and spaces and places that got us to this point now. And if you've walked with anyone through as an aunt, as a parent, as a grandparent, you know, as a godparent, as a mentor, you know what I'm talking about when I talk about walking continuously together. And it's a lot. It's one of those things where you never know in the beginning where you're going to end up. And I remember so much thinking about the passion and the planning and all those things of pregnancy, and then going through birth. And, you know, he's my first, so I was really unprepared for how all of that was going to play out. And if you've walked through that space, you know what I'm saying. And I would like to push out the idea that this goes beyond children or physical birth, but also the birthing of a business, the birthing of an idea, the birthing of life together. In the beginning, there's so much emotion connected to it, and creativity and passion and things like that. And then there's the preparation of knowing that this thing is really going to happen. So, you know, if it's a baby, you're going, you know, shopping for all the things you need and you're reading every book. If it's a business, you're, you know, applying for loans and following up with grant options and reading books about branding and all these things. But there's this real like space and time where you're really just preparing for something you don't have any idea how it's going to play out. And then there comes the bringing it into the space. And I think that one of the things that we know in our mind is that there is pain and endurance necessary for those things. But until we've experienced it, we don't know how much. So sometimes we don't make enough preparation, and sometimes we make different preparation than what we really need. But we go through that birthing process, that birthing of the concept, that birthing of a business, that birthing of a child. And it's hard. It's really, it's hard. And I mean, of course, there's all the, you know, cliches. That's why they call it labor and those kinds of things. But it's hard in different ways for different people. Right? And as many shortcuts as we try to make for it, it doesn't matter which way you go for it, it's hard. And you rejoice in the act, in the revelation. You rejoice in the opportunity. You rejoice that you got over that hill. And I wish that is the last hard thing that we have to do on this earth when we bring new life and new creativity and new concept and new anything into this world. But it's really just the beginning. And the hard looks different as you move down the lane. And And I wonder why I have in my mind that each time God brings something new, each time there's a new thing, you know, we like to use that Bible verse that says, look at me, I'm doing a new thing. Can you see it? Can you hear it? Can you catch on? When we bring newness, something genuine from us that God has bubbled up and birthed up within us, whether it's physical or emotional or conceptual, it is hard to cross that final step where it becomes real. And all of the preparation up to that point has not felt, I mean, we're excited and passionate and we know this is the thing and we're doing it and we're getting there and we're going to prepare and I'm going to talk and I've got these people praying for me and I've got my ducks in a row and my papers on the desk and, you know, I've purchased the furniture and I'm ready. I've gone to the training classes, but crossing over that threshold of bringing this new thing life, bringing it into the space is difficult. And for whatever reason, every time I come to that threshold, I think, oh, I forgot that this part's hard. And sometimes in my arrogance, I think, if it's hard, maybe I shouldn't be doing it. And that is where this title comes from this morning, endurance. I don't like it. There's no getting around the hard part. There's no deciding that I'm going to do all of this prep work ahead of time and I'm going to enjoy all of the benefits and promises and blessing and everything on the other end without taking the step into the hard. And that's especially apparent to me during Lent right now because even Jesus didn't get out of the hard. He had it harder than all of us. And he knew the promises and the blessings and everything. And there was no skipping over it. And you might say, Charlie, that's not very encouraging. But stop and think about it with me. It is. Number one, nobody's lying to you. Nobody's manipulating you. Nobody's saying to you, it shouldn't be hard. There's going to be hard. Okay? There's a fairness and a freedom in somebody not candy coating something for you. No physical trainer says to you, it's okay, we're going to build your muscle and we're going to lose the fat and everything, and it's not going to be hard. It's going to be so easy. You're just not even going to feel it. You're just going to be able to sit on the couch. Right? We come to that hard part, and honestly, some of us come to the hard part every single day. Okay? This week is an example for me. There is something about maturing and growing where you come to spots in your day that are hard and difficult. Maybe you're dealing with other people. Maybe you've fallen short. There's something you failed on. And let me just say, yeah, you don't get upset with your child because they can't do everything perfectly when they're 6 months old. Or when they're 16. Or, I haven't gotten there yet, but 36. There is grace and mercy along the way all the time because you're constantly learning. You're constantly struggling and marinating and living in this life that's hard. Okay? So give yourself the grace that you give everyone else and understand that God knows who you are even when you don't know who you are. He knows that you can walk through this if you will hold his hand. So this week, every day there has been a challenge that has come before me. And the old me would have said, a mature Jesus follower handles this and no stress and metabolizes it. And I'm going to pray, Lord, help me to be strong enough to handle this. And this week, my prayer changed. This week, my prayer went like this. Monday morning was amazing. I thought, time change? What time change? I've got a cup of coffee. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. There's some really new things in my life that, are coming into that birthing stage. And oh, we got this, right? By about 1 o'clock Monday, everything I touched, everything I tried to attempt to do, every person I talked to on the phone, it was everything. And at 1 o'clock, I was defeated. I thought, okay, I'm done with this day. And I know that everyone has been there. And in that moment, it was like the Holy Spirit said to me, you can quit. You can sit down on the couch and say, Lord, I'm going to coast through the rest of this day because I don't have anything left. Or you can do like you would tell your kids to do. I'm going to laugh because I see my friend Akia is on with me today. Did you pray about it? Did you sing a song? And I said, okay, Lord, it's not in my nature to turn this over to you and say, I don't know what to do. But I know that I can't quit. I know that I can't stop. I know that whatever this challenge is not a big enough deal for me to decide to throw in the towel. It's just a bad day. It's just a bad day. It's just a combination of things that are happening. And then I remembered that the scripture reminds us that we're surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses and that the angels and the demons are watching, right? And I thought to myself, they think I'm fake. They think I'm a fraud. They think this faith thing, they don't know how to deal with this because it doesn't exist in their realm in the same way. Lord, you don't expect me to handle all this. I'm going to put it on the altar. I don't know how to deal with so-and-so's attitude. I don't know what to do about this school situation. I don't know what to do about this work thing that happened. I don't know what to do because I'm not feeling well. I don't know what to do. And I put it on the altar and I said, not hands up, you got to fix it all. It was, hey, God, I've done all I can do. And it hasn't worked out so great today. So I'm going to remember who you are. I'm going to put it out there. And I'm going to sing the songs that remind me. And I'm going to push in my heart those scriptures that I know are true. The ones that say that our battle isn't against flesh and blood. That it's bigger than that. I'm going to remind myself that the battle is not mine to fight. It's the Lord's. And that he sees the past and the present and the future, and he walks behind me and in front of me and around me. And you might say, Charlie, especially if you're not a Jesus follower, your faith is not in a place where you're really standing on those promises. That seems like a real cop-out. I used to believe that lie, that it seems like a real cop-out. But how many times do our kids try to push through things that we say to them, why didn't you ask me for help? Why did you get in such a spot? That I'm always ready to help. Well, I was trying to do it on my own, Mom. I was trying to make sure that I got it and I didn't need your help. And there was no loss and turning and saying, hey, I need help. So Monday I threw it on the altar, and I'm not going to lie. It wasn't like super mature or hyper spiritual. It was like, I don't have any more, right? And I don't know what to do. And the day isn't over yet, and I can't quit. And I know that I have to figure this out. And I just stopped. And I said, Lord, I don't know. And I wish I could tell you that immediately I felt peace and rest and release. And it was not really like that. Sometimes it is. I pray that sometimes it is. But on Monday it wasn't. The problems were still there. The issue was still there. But about an hour later, I realized, oh, here's the answer to that question. Okay, let's take care of that. And, oh, I misunderstood this statement. So I'm going to respond in this way and see if we can get some resolution on that. And I reached out for the school situation that I had to my husband and just said, I can't do this right now. Can you look at it when you get off work? And he looked at it when he got off work and was like, oh, sure, I can fix this. And by the end of the day, I looked up and all of the things that had been standing there pushing my buttons and staring at me and yelling about my failure and my flaws and where I had fallen short were handled. Not because I'm a super person, not because I was super mom or anything like that, but because I said, Lord, I just need some help with this. I'm not seeing the answer. I'm not able to find. I'm too frustrated. I'm in all of these places. And I said, thank you, Lord, and, trudged through the rest of the day. And then Tuesday morning when I woke up, there was this random fear in the back of my head that was whispering, today's going to be as bad as yesterday. And immediately I thought, oh, endure. We've got to endure. You got to press. You got to go and do the thing. And that's true. But I sat in my 10 minutes of quiet time that morning and I said, Lord, I don't want a day like yesterday. So if you can see everything that's going to go through this day, I'm putting it before you before I even see it. Before I even hear it, before I even touch it. And I don't want to have to hit the same threshold of hard that I hit yesterday. So work in me. Work in me, and when it comes to me, Lord, help me to immediately open my spirit and say, God, I don't want to be angry. I don't want to get mad about this. I don't want to feel guilty or frustrated about this. Help me to be proactive. Because I think a lot of times we respond in our faith that we need to be reactionary. We have to, when it happens, I'll be strong and I'll stand firm. And after doing all that I have, I'll stand. And that's totally true and available to us. But Tuesday changed that moment when I spoke into my spirit. I don't accept this atmosphere that's already starting to settle down, that today has to be like yesterday. And if it is like yesterday, Lord, help me to remember your faithfulness. Help me to remember not to wait so long to ask you for help. Help me not to sit in it so deep and feel so much pride and arrogance that you expect me to do it without you. Lord, I'm going to say at the beginning of the day, I am weak and you are strong. And that doesn't mean that I don't get to do the hard things. I was speaking with some other believers on Friday night, and we were talking about hard things, which was very fortuitous. But we were remembering that when the Red Sea opened, that the first step into the dry land must have been hard. That walking through the middle must have been hard. Not because it isn't amazing that the water was stopped up and that there was dry land, but that they had no control over that. They had to follow in obedience to the other side. And it was a little easier as each person got to the other side and yelled, yeah, I'm here. But in the walking through, you didn't know when the water was going to fall again. You only knew that your feet were on dry land right now. You had never been in this situation before. You had to cross that threshold, and it was hard. Was there blessing on the other side? Was there protection on the other side? Was there newness on the other side? Absolutely. But it required you to do something different. And it required you to put your feet to the ground and say, this God, this faith, this Jesus thing is more than a story for me. It's more than meditation in the morning that makes me feel pretty good inside and I feel centered. It's more than things that I tell myself as mantras to keep my spirits up and my positive attitude. Because sometimes the positive attitude bombs out on you. And sometimes the things that are swirling around you, it's not enough to be able to say, well, I'll try again tomorrow. It just feels heavy. And that's because we weren't really made to carry the weight of it. And so my Thursday thought for you this morning is endurance. I don't like it either. It's hard. But with each step, hard gets a little easier. if we're walking in obedience and if we're asking him to help us. Pride keeps us from asking. Pride keeps us from thinking that there's something there that we couldn't possibly understand. It's a weird paradox with God. You can't see and live and serve God without God. You can't walk the walk and in the spaces and all that stuff without holding his hand. It's not like he gives you a job description and then says, when you're finished with that, come back and see me. He gives you this thing and he says, if you're going to be able to do that, you're going to need my help. Let me know. And we go, okay. And we take it and we try to do it all on our own. And we get frustrated when the timing is off, or we get frustrated when we don't understand what's coming next, or when it gets hard. And he's like, did I tell you that it wasn't going to be hard? Did I tell you that it was going to happen on that day? Did I tell you that that's how it was going to go? But in our humanity, that's how we see it. We want to control it. And whatever you're standing before right now, whatever the threshold is, you're standing before a Red Sea. Something that God said, hey, I'm going to do something different and amazing here. And you so want to be part of that. You get that, you believe that, you see that. But putting your foot on the ground and walking across it is hard. And it requires endurance because you don't know what comes next. I birthed that baby 18 years ago, and I had no idea what 18 years later would look like. As a matter of fact, many days was uncertain I was going to get here. And every step of every day, in different ways and places, was hard. Every dream I've had that God has said, yes, we're going to do that. There have been days and spaces and places that were hard, and it required endurance. Not the kind of grit your teeth endurance, I will do this by myself. Often the endurance was this release endurance. God, I don't know how to do this. I feel like I should know how to do this, but I don't. It just looks like a mess to me. I can't see tomorrow. I don't know how finances are going to be. I don't understand how this is going to get healed. I don't know how I'm going to do this without the things that everybody else seems to have, and I am short. And like we as parents, he turns to us and goes, do you want my help? Why'd you wait so long? And I feel like we have this conversation over and over again, but you know what? We do. In different ways and spaces, we do have this conversation over and over again. And that's because endurance is hard. But it's worth it. If the children of Israel had not linked arms, somebody was the one who put their first foot down and started walking across. But it was sure a whole lot easier when a friend grabbed another friend's arm and said, okay, come on, let's do it. Or when they heard somebody up ahead of them say, no, it's still clear up here. Come on, let's go. Or when they heard the singing on the other side. And it's in those moments that I think we forget to give praise. We forget to give testimony. For some reason, we feel like I did at the end of the day Monday, thank you, Lord, that I survived today. And I didn't speak it out, thinking that it was my failures and my flaws that kept me stuck. And it was, but what if somebody else needed to hear, it's okay if you get stuck. Here's what I did. Here's what so-and-so did. And you know what? God came through. Endurance is possible with God's help. And if we would open our mouths and encourage one another. My walk doesn't look like yours. My burdens don't look like yours. My faith doesn't look like yours. Okay? We're all in different spaces and places with God. But I got a mess, you got a mess, and God is still making miracles out of our messes. It's kind of his specialty. He takes the spaces that we have given up on and he says, let me show you what I can do. Let me show you an answer. Let me show you a miracle. Let me show you what I'm going to do in this space because you've laid it before me. Is it hard? Yes. But it's Thursday, and you've almost made it to Friday, and you can do it. I love you. I hope to see you back here next Thursday for Thursday Thoughts with the Messy Sisterhood. Have a great day.